Today, many of our people don't speak the language, don't practice the culture, don't have an identity. No roots, no sense of belonging, no sense of direction in life. Today, our people are dying spiritually and physically from alcoholism and drug abuse. Our colonizer is the master of intrigue who wears the cloak and dagger and has successfully poisoned the minds of our people and killed the spirits of our people with alcoholism and drugs. So today I stand here before you to understand the suffering that is going on in Guam. We cannot survive. The United States military is holding on to 44,000 acres of our lands in Guam. 1/3 of Guam is in the hands of the United States military. 32,000 acres is outside the military installation fence, not ever been used. 12,000 acres of our homelands is within the fence, only 6,000 acres is being used.
Guam is the ancestral homeland of my people, the indigenous CHamoru people, who have been there and have called that land home for over 3,500 years. We are a matrilineal society. We have a set of sort of values that are our constitutive values, chief among them reciprocity. We are directly in the line of fire. We are definitely a frontline community when it comes to the spreading canopy of U.S. militarization. As I speak, my people are bracing ourselves for a round of militarization that is nothing less than cataclysmic.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that. The Guam population, I think, currently about 175,000, and again, with 8,000 Marines and their families, it's an addition of about 25,000 more into the population.
And I say that in an intentionally existential way. As you know, Guam is in the crosshairs. The U.S. is greatly expanding its military footprint. This springs from a 2005 agreement between the U.S. government and the government of Japan to transfer thousands of U.S. Marines from Okinawa, which shoulders a disproportionate amount of U.S. military presence in its own right. And those Marines are now coming to Guam. And as part of that Marine relocation, the U.S. military is currently expanding its footprint in Guam. It is expanding its base. It has created a brand new Marine Corps base, and it is also constructing a live fire training range complex, and that complex consists of...
And also things like the environment, the sensitive areas of the environment, coral reefs and those kinds of things. And I know that, you know, lots of people don't like to think about that, but, you know, we didn't think about global warming either. And now we do have to think about it. And so I'm concerned from an environmental standpoint whether or not Guam is the best place to do this relocation, but it's actually the only place. Is that correct?
This is the best place. This is the farthest west U.S. territory that we own. And, you know, this is part of our nation. And in readdressing the forward presence and posture importance to Pacific Command, Guam is vital to this decision.
There was no prouder moment for me as a native of this island, as the beneficiary of the heroism and endurance of my parents and their generation who suffered during the dark days of World War II, than to witness you, our President, lay a wreath honoring the experience of our people of Guam. Yes, Mr. President, you are our President, and you have proved it over and over again by your actions, by your words, and by your respect of your fellow citizens here in Guam. But I would like to vote for you one day. After our political status is resolved, this is a big hint, and we move into the next American century on Guam in partnership with the federal government and with confidence and dignity.
Now, you heard Congressman Underwood say that he wished he could vote for me. And I was thinking, looking out at the ocean, looking at the bay, that I can't run for president again, and Governor Gutierrez can't run for governor again, and maybe I could come here and give Congressman Underwood a chance to vote for me for governor of Guam.
But I want the world to know that our people are dying everywhere. I had a dream, and I was dreaming that one day I would be in a place like this to share with the world what the United States is doing to our people back in Guam. And injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And this is what we must contend with. And we must quit pretending that this problem does not exist. Colonialism on Guam and throughout the world has its roots in capitalism and the exploitation of man and natural resources, our Mother Earth. In the name of capitalism, colonial countries are taking over people's lands. They are controlling our people back in Guam. Colonialism is alive today. It is very much alive in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. You will find its heart beating in Northern Ireland. You will find the blood of colonialism flowing down in South Africa. Young people throughout the world are making changes in Japan, the Philippines, Korea, South Africa, China, Guam, and here in Hawaii. We need to stand together. So today I bring with me a message of unity, a message of coalition of all indigenous peoples. Generations come and generations will pass, but if no generation has the courage, the conscience, and the conviction to right the wrongdoings of the past, then the next generation will have to live with the same injustice in the future.
The challenges of this new century, the century in which the young people who introduced me will live most of their lives, will be different. There will be new risks and new opportunities. Here for you in Guam is for all Americans. First, we must work together to ensure that Guam reaps all the benefits of the post-Cold War world, beginning with the timely return of lands no longer needed by our military. 4 years ago, I was proud to sign Congressman Underwood's bill to return 3,200 acres of military land. I will see to it that the land is transferred to Guam as soon as possible. And I am happy to announce that we are also working to turn over another 7,300 acres, including the former Naval Air Station and ship repair facility. When I return to Washington, I will ask the new Congress to simplify and expedite the process through which excess U.S. military land is transferred to Guam, and will form a White House-led task force to make sure the job gets done. Second, we must work together to help Guam build a strong modern economy for the 21st century. In the global economy, Guam can be an important gateway to Asian markets. Today, you face a dual economic challenge. The reduction of our military activities on this island has cost civilian jobs. At the same time, because of your close ties to your Pacific neighbors, like Hawaii, Guam has been more vulnerable than other parts of America to Asian financial woes. I am confident, however, that the people who weathered the high winds of Typhoon Paka with such courage and resilience can weather these economic storms as well. The federal government will do our part to help. We will aid Guam in transforming the Navy ship repair facility into a viable commercial operation. The return of the Naval Air Station will enable you to expand the airport.
To begin this afternoon's historic event, allow me to introduce Mr. Julian Ogden to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see all of this is being done when it comes to Guam without any involvement of the people of Guam themselves. Your country remains one of only 17 territories that are still considered colonies by the United Nations. Even the level of self-government, let's say, at some of the other former colonies of the U.S. or the colonies of the U.S., Puerto Rico, the Federation of Micronesia have received, Guam still remains in a category by itself. I'm wondering if you could talk about how the people feel of what is going on, how the United States treats Guam.
It's critical to sort of face that question head on. Guam is a U.S.-administered, non-self-governing territory whose decolonization process has been thwarted by the U.S. government for 123 years and counting. Guam has had a long history of fighting for the fundamental right of self-determination. I myself was involved in a decades-long battle throughout the federal court system to try to defend the right of the native inhabitants of Guam to express our desires with regard to our future political status, our future political relationship with the U.S. government.
Today we are asking the United States to give us our ancestral lands back, and today they are telling us that we must pay for it at $281,000 an acre. The United States has plans to set aside 32,000 acres of that to establish a Guam National Wildlife Refuge to protect our endangered species. In fact, the animals in Guam are more important to the United States government than the CHamoru people. In fact, if we do nothing, then the CHamoru people will become the endangered species. How can our people survive when the United States military dumped highly toxic chemicals in the northern part of Guam, directly over Guam's sole source water aquifer, underground water aquifer? Based on a water sampling that was done over an 8-year period of time, based on documents that we have that was given to us, our drinking water has been contaminated with trichloroethylene. How can our people survive when 70% of our drinking water comes from that sole source water aquifer? How can our people survive when our only freshwater lake has a fence built around it and is a military installation? Indeed, the United States is the master of intrigue. That when you control a people's land, you control the people. When you control the people's water, you control the people. When you control a people's natural resources within its 200-mile exclusive economic zone, you control the people.
We see this on the ground, and what this means on the ground to the people is, loss of land, loss of our preciously singular sort of habitat. For example, the firing range being built now in Guam, it entails the destruction of over 1,000 acres of pristine limestone forests. These forests took millennia to evolve and are impossibly beautiful. And they are directly they're on the chopping block, many of those acres have already been cleared. Certain portions of the Ratidian area, which is an area that is sacred to my people, have been already bulldozed. And so I write about that in the book. I write about how it's bitterly ironic that so many of these sort of machines that are ripping the limestone from the forest floor, these machines bear the name Caterpillar. Yet it's that sort of creature's preciously singular habitat, these limestone forests, that are being bulldozed.
How can the people of Guam, the indigenous people of CHamoru, survive under colonial rule, imperialist laws, the subjugation of our people for the past 400 years? We have suffered much in the hands of the colonizer. First, the Spaniards bring us Christianity in its formal religion, that our ancient ancestral worshiping is an evil worshiping type religion. Therefore, in the name of Christianity, 95,000 of my ancestors died in the hands of the Spanish soldiers in order to love God. Then the United States came in 1898. The United States Marines invaded Guam and took possession of our island from the Spaniards. In the early 1900s, the United States naval government passed laws which regulated our cultural practices and punished our people for speaking the language, required every able-bodied man and boy 16 years old and up to bring in 5 heads of rat per month to the U.S. naval government. And for every head of rat that you did not bring in, you had to pay 25 cents. There were others. We could not whistle in the downtown, in the capital of Guam. We could not have cockfights. We could not process tuba. There were many things we could not do. As a matter of fact, the United States government said that we were dirty, bad habits, uncivilized. That by establishing an American educational system on Guam, we will have, quote, in our hands by Naval Governor Dyer, a most loyal, devoted possession of the United States.
It is the farthest west of the U.S. possessions. It gives us a unique opportunity to support operations going on.
Right now, what we see happening is the harms of 500 years of colonization sort of being exacerbated by a hyper-aggressive, unilateral sort of expansion of the U.S. military. So this is really, Guam is really Guam is where sort of like the legacy of colonial violence is now sort of being compounded upon by the sort of the harms of the U.S. government. And I mean that in every sense. For example, in August 2017, North Korea was threatening Guam with weapons, intercontinental ballistic weapons that would said to be reach Guam in 14 minutes.
The crowd comes alive. Shrek down off the balance. Hammer fist now. Ankle kick full out. Soccer kick landed big. Boy, Shrek's in trouble. Ref has to get in there. Shrek is now defending himself, and there's the ref. But it's not to stop the fight. It's to bring Shrek back in. But Shrek is rearranging his nose. That's it.
The U.S. is a country that prefers routinely power over strength and living over letting live. And that a country like that, perhaps, is no country for 8-spot butterflies.
It's a great environment to bring up children. First of all, a great water area, whether you like to snorkel or dive, or if you're a fisherman, a great place to come and visit.
Guam is a wonderful place to come for duty. It's becoming more and more known as a wonderful place for duty, not only for sailors, for single sailors, but sailors with families. You're going to see more and more white uniforms out and about in the communities of Guam.
Half a day, Chris Barnett here, my malfunction moment, and I got one question for you. Are you a Guamanian or are you a CHamoru?
While GVB has touted promoting Guam's unique culture as part of its offering as a destination to tourists, Uggan says he and others who do promote the culture to tourists have been given no support.
I am the best park ranger. I have pride in this area.
John Ray Uggan grew up in the village of Talafofo and grew up fishing in Talafofo Bay. His family raises and tames carabaos, a tradition that was passed down to him from his father and one that spans back for generations. He operates a small business, giving carabao rides at Talafofo Bay to tourists and passerbys. But he's being kicked out of the park unless he pays a vendor fee of $1,500, a fee he wouldn't mind paying if the park was maintained. It has no shelters, no tables or benches, no trash cans, and the restrooms are only open on the weekends. In fact, it was locked when we went there today. He built a hut for shelter. He cleans the area himself, picking up trash like this bag left behind by weekend parties. He fixed a restroom shower head, stopping a leak that had been spraying water for weeks.
Here I am just trying to make ends meet, trying to promote our culture because I'm a proud CHamoru. But it's sad that our own parks and recs, our own people, our own senator are neglecting us CHamorus here on our island. See, Mr. Tetauto from Yamadak, see Big John, they call him Big John, he's been operating his carabao ecotourism out there. They have evicted him, they have chased him out because he doesn't have a permit. That guy is promoting ecotourism. I feel gratified knowing that I'm promoting the culture because the carabao in our culture is an icon. It was brought here in the 1600s from the Philippines in the Spanish era. It's been here over 400 years.
The question of the day is, what the fuck are you doing for life? Did you go outside to feel the sun? Did you go for a walk? Did you walk your dog? Did your dog walk you? Who cares? Did you walk on the grass barefoot? These are the things, you have to think about. Instead of being inside your fucking house miserable as fuck like a do some fucking push-ups.
Welcome to Guam, where America's day begins. Guam sits at the crossroads of where East meets West. A vibrant, multicultural American community awaits your tour of duty on Guam. Guam is sovereign U.S. territory full of natural beauty, rich culture, and a welcoming people who support our troops and embrace freedom and democracy. Guam's inhabitants date back more than 4,000 years, making its culture rich in history. More recently, Guam's location made it a strategic port of call for the Spanish trading galleons of the 17th century. Many Spanish traditions remain today. This rich blend of history and East meets West has created a unique sense of place that makes Guam the ideal location to visit, live, and work. Modern Guam is an international airline hub with easy access to major cities in the U.S. and the Asia-Pacific region. This makes Guam the perfect location for trips home or to discover the unique cultures of Micronesia, Australia, and the Asia-Pacific region. The natural beauty of Guam is the perfect backdrop for working, training, and quality of life opportunities for families and unaccompanied personnel. Guam's culture is a unique blend of indigenous CHamoru traditions, mixed with modern multicultural influences. From local traditions such as village fiestas, fishing, seafaring practices, cultural fairs, to modern events and activities, Guam has something for everyone to enjoy. World-class shopping, entertainment, nightlife, eating, eating, and eating all await you on your tour of duty.
Boy, you want to be a police officer?
Sir, yes, sir.
One!
Sir, yes, sir.
I don't think you're man enough, Panty. Fat pork belly, how many roasteries you been to, boy? That's a lot of corn soup right there. You should have said all heat to the all hoop.
Sakran also has three meanings. It can mean the year, it can mean the time of harvest, and also it can mean your age as an individual or an age of anything.
They're all kind of intertwined in a way too, because the harvest and somebody's age and everything, I mean, they kind of interplay upon each other.
Right, yeah, and that's what the CHamoru lunar calendar is based on. And remember, we are an Asiatic group, the Pacific Islanders, at least in our area, stemming from the Asian continent. And so you have the Chinese New Year, which is based on the 13 months due. The CHamoru is no different in that type of concept of celebrating and using the moon as the timetable. It's really very interesting to also note that although the Western calendar was introduced into the Marianas among the CHamoru people, I really still believe the CHamoros are operating, at least the farmers and the fishermen, on the CHamoru lunar calendar, although they're referencing these months or these dates to the Western calendar of when the Manyat comes. It's really based on their knowledge inherited from our ancestors through the CHamoru lunar calendar.
This is how we're going to operate here on our own island, where outsiders are given the opportunity for a tax break quality certificate, tax-free, and they're millionaires. Right now, there is buses load of tourists who are business, just like me. I have a business license, that will unload tourists at Angel Santos Memorial Park, and they won't get charged, but they will go in there and do a photo shoot of the lattice stone and the areas in our park, and they're not being charged. When I asked Mike, can I bring my carbo over here and have the tourists take a picture? They say no, because the carbo is my prop. They will charge me for having my carbo in the park when someone takes a picture. Come on, those guys are millionaires. I'm just trying to make ends meet.
He asked Parks and Rec if he could adopt the park and keep it clean and maintained in exchange for being allowed to operate his carabao rides, but DPR told him that that wouldn't be possible.
I will continue to fight, and I will fight till all our people are given the opportunity, not regulated, not restricted on our own land.
Today I am proud. I am a descendant of the original inhabitants of Guam who have lived there for the past 4,000 years. In the end, the spirit of the oppressed will conquer the sword of the oppressor.